The Enfield Poltergeist, the true story behind The Conjuring 2. It's a cool August night in 1977. In the quiet London suburb of Enfield, the Hodgson family's home is shrouded in shadows. From the outside, it's an ordinary house on an ordinary street, until the first knock. The sound is sharp, deliberate, echoing through the stillness. Then another and another. It starts slowly, but as the hours creep by, the knocks turn into bangs, the whispers into guttural growls. The house, once filled with the gentle hum of bedtime whispers, now throbbed with an unseen menace, as if something ancient and malevolent had woken up, and it wasn't ready to rest again as the walls breathed. Janet Hodgson, an 11-year-old girl, lies in bed when she feels an invisible force pull her from her mattress. Furniture moves on its own, knocking sounds echo through the rooms, and voices, deep, guttural voices, begin to speak through the children. What starts as an unexplained knock soon transforms into one of the most well-documented hauntings in history.
No. Tell me who you are.
The Enfield Poltergeist would captivate the world, drawing in paranormal investigators, media, and skeptics alike. But was this a genuine haunting or an elaborate hoax? Tonight, we unravel the truth behind the chilling story that inspired The Conjuring 2. Scene 2. The Hodgson family, an ordinary life turned upside down. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother of 4, struggled to provide a stable life for her children, facing hardship before. But nothing like this. She had always been the anchor for her children, her laughter filling the small house even on the darkest days. Janet, at just 11 years old, carried the spark of childhood mischief. But as the days wore on, shadows grew under her eyes, and her laughter faded into silence. Their home at 284 Green Street was humble, but filled with love. Her siblings, Margaret, Johnny, and Billy, shared the usual joys and challenges of childhood. But everything changed in August 1977. Janet and Margaret began hearing strange knocking sounds at night. Their mother initially dismissed the noises as childish pranks, but as the knocks grew louder and objects began to move on their own, it became clear this was no childish prank. Something was waking up in the Hodgson home, and it wasn't going to let them sleep. Then, the entire family witnessed phenomena that defied explanation. Chairs moved on their own. A chest of drawers slid across the room, blocking the door. Desperate and terrified, Peggy reached out for help. Neighbors, the police, and even the local clergy witnessed unexplainable events. When a police officer saw a chair move across the floor without human assistance, the story caught fire. The media descended on the Hodgson home, and what had been a private nightmare became a public spectacle. Scene 3. The investigators arrive, skeptics and believers. The Enfield haunting drew the attention of the Society for Psychical Research, specifically Maurice Grosse and Guy Leon Playfair. Grosse had personal reasons for delving into the paranormal. He had lost his daughter, and his grief drove his interest in the afterlife. Playfair, a seasoned investigator, initially approached the case with caution, but soon found himself baffled by the phenomena. The investigators documented countless incidents: levitating objects, toys thrown by unseen hands, and Janet speaking in a voice far beyond her years, a voice that claimed to belong to Bill Wilkins, a previous resident who had died in the house. Recordings captured Bill's voice, gravelly and ominous, detailing his death. What was most chilling was that medical experts confirmed Janet's vocal cords could not have produced such a sound naturally. Bill Wilkins had died alone in that house, his last breath wheezing through his collapsed lung as he sat in an old armchair. His son confirmed the chilling details Janet spoke of in a voice not her own. But how could a young girl know this? Unless, of course, Bill had never truly left. Throughout the investigation, chilling audio recordings captured Janet's voice shifting into something unnatural. "I am Bill," it rasped, as if gravel was scraping against the inside of her throat. Even more unsettling, the voice recounted details of Bill Wilkins's death, details that, according to his own son, only the real Bill could have known.
Let me hear you say my name. Come on, let me hear you say my name. That's not my name.
I want you to tell me whether you remember what happened to you when you died. Just before you died and just after you died.
Days before I died, I went blind. Then I had an hemorrhage and I fell asleep and I died in a chair in the corner downstairs.
However, not all were convinced. Skeptics were quick to pounce. Video footage showed Janet bending spoons and throwing objects when she thought no one was watching. The Daily Mirror captured images of Janet in mid-air. Critics argued that the so-called levitation was nothing more than a young girl jumping off her bed, her hair simply caught in the moment of flight. Some believed the family was exploiting the situation for attention or financial gain. But if it was all a hoax, why did so many witnesses, including police officers and journalists, report seeing the impossible? They pointed to moments when Janet was caught bending spoons or speaking in the eerie voice when she thought no one was watching. Was this evidence of a hoax or the actions of a child under the influence of a powerful entity? Scene 4. The paranormal activity intensifies. As weeks turned into months, the haunting escalated. One night, witnesses watched in horror as Janet's small frame was hurled against the bedroom wall. She didn't scream. Her body hung mid-air as if an invisible hand gripped her by the throat. The room itself seemed to warp. The air grew thick, the temperature plummeted, and the walls thudded with unseen fists, their rhythmic pounding resonating through the entire street. The neighbors, huddled in their own homes, could hear it too, like something trying to break free. Photographs taken during the events showed Janet in mid-air, seemingly flung from her bed. Critics argued she was simply jumping, but the fear on her face suggested otherwise. The family's pets reacted violently, barking and hiding from empty corners of the room. Food would fly off plates, and the house seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. Despite media scrutiny and growing skepticism, the family maintained their story. Maurice Grosse remained a steadfast believer, while Guy Lyon Playfair acknowledged the possibility of trickery, but argued that much of the evidence could not be easily dismissed. Scene 5. Theories. What was really haunting the Hodgsons? Theory 1. A genuine poltergeist. Believers argue that the Enfield case is a classic example of poltergeist activity, often centered around adolescent girls. The chaotic energy, the moving objects, and the disturbing voices align with other documented cases of spirit-based disturbances. Theory 2. Psychological manifestation. Some psychologists suggest that the haunting was a manifestation of Janet's stress, Living in a broken home with financial struggles, Janet could have projected her anxiety through subconscious psychokinesis, creating the disturbances physically through her own mind. Theory 3. A hoax. Skeptics, including members of the press and the scientific community, assert that the Hodgson children faked the activity for attention. They highlight the inconsistencies in Janet's stories and the physical evidence that could be recreated through trickery. Theory 4. A mix of real and fabricated events. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. Some believe the haunting began with genuine paranormal events, but as media attention grew, the children may have embellished their experiences to keep the story alive. Theory 5. A tulpic manifestation. Some experts on the paranormal suggest the Enfield Poltergeist could have been a tulpa, a thought form brought into reality by intense energy and belief. In this theory, the chaos within the Hodgson home was not a traditional haunting, but a manifestation of Janet's subconscious fears and the collective anxiety of the entire household. If true, this could mean the Hodgson family wasn't haunted by a spirit, but by their own minds. If this was a tulpa, a manifestation of thought, then perhaps the horror wasn't bound to the house, but to the family's minds. And if that were true, how could they ever escape it? When the haunting lives not in walls, but in whispers, not in shadows, but in the dark corners of the mind, where do you run? Scene 6. The legacy of the Enfield Poltergeist. The haunting eventually subsided in 1979, though the family claimed occasional disturbances continued. Janet went on to lead a relatively normal life, though she has always maintained that the haunting was real. Maurice Grosse died in 2006, still believing he had witnessed a true haunting. Guy Lyon Playfair remained more cautious, acknowledging the complexities of the case. The Enfield case inspired books, documentaries, and Hollywood films, including The Conjuring 2. However, the question remains, was the haunting a genuine interaction with the supernatural, a product of a troubled mind, or a cleverly crafted hoax? Scene 7. Conclusion. A mystery that endures. The Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most famous hauntings in history. It challenges our understanding of reality, psychology, and the unknown. What do you think? Was this a true paranormal event, a cry for help, or simply a well-executed prank? If the Enfield Poltergeist was real, did it ever truly leave? Or is it simply waiting, biding its time, until the next knock on the wall, the next whisper in the dark, reminding us that some mysteries are better left unsolved? Perhaps even now, as you sit in the quiet of your own home, it waits, silent and unseen. The next knock might not come from Enfield, but from the other side of your own wall. Because once the door to the unknown is opened, who knows what might come through? Share your theories in the comments below. Here on Legends Unveiled, we explore the darkest mysteries, hidden histories, and unanswered questions that still haunt us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another dive into the unknown, right here on Legends Unveiled.